Hello everyone, amateur meteorologist FirstinWeather here. There is certainly a lot to talk about. We have a winter storm on our hands, more specifically Winter Storm Diego, and it is December 7th, 2018. It is another early start to the winter season for many of you in the Deep South, so let's get right to it. This is the FV3 GFS weather model, the new and improved weather model over the GFS. Really a great help for meteorologists out there and also amateur meteorologists. Definitely a great improvement from the old GFS. And the old GFS really was a terrible model to use for snowstorm forecasting, especially after 84 hours. But this one really is much better in many ways. So let's get started with this one. So this is the 18Z FV3 run, and you have very strong high right here, pumping in that cold air, helping to suppress that storm southward, and instead of making it come up the coast. And it helps the storm go due east, all right, instead of a more typical track of right up the coastline that many New Englanders are typically used to. And there's also a second reason for this storm going due east, all right. One of the main reasons, or the biggest reason, is because you have these two jet streams, the southern jet stream and the northern polar jet stream, not phasing, all right. And when they don't phase, you don't have that rapid intensification and track northward, and that's what's happening here. You have the northern jet stream basically going due diagonal, pumping in that very cold air, and then you have the southern jet stream just going due east. So that storm has the very cold air, but since it hasn't phased with the northern jet stream, it's suppressed south and goes due east instead of going like that, giving big time snows to the coastline of New England, all right. So that's the reason this storm is really giving the Deep South the biggest blow, especially North Carolina and southwestern Virginia. These types of storms where the track is suppressed south are really helpful for these deep states, but for the snow lovers in the Northeast, this can be one of the toughest winter storms, where you know that you could have seen a lot of snow with the system but end up getting very little due to the suppressed track. But anyways, let's go through time. And the GFS has this storm east of South Carolina by Sunday afternoon, 18Z, around 1 p.m. And you have that snow shield right around Fredericksburg, all right? Very heavy snow. We're talking extremely heavy snowfall rates in the North Carolina-Virginia border, probably 2 inch-an-hour rates down there. And if we look at temperatures are below freezing in the 20s, so that is some very dry, not very dry, but relatively dry snow that is sticking. When you have 2 inch-an-hour rates, that with sticking snow, that is going to cause some havoc on the roads if this does verify. And if you go back to the MSLP and precip, the model then has it east of North Carolina by around 8 p.m. Sunday, and then it is out of there by early Monday morning. So this is a quick mover. Initially, it was thought that this would be a long duration event, 24 hours of snow potentially, but that concern has pretty much ended. This is going to be a quick 12 to 20 hour snowfall event for most locations. For locations in the mountains and northwestern North Carolina and southwestern Virginia, this is going to be a longer duration event for you, but areas like central Virginia are going to see this as more of a short duration event. And one of the major things I want to talk about is that southern shift, all right? Many of the models have this storm going more like this, all right, or more like this, and then over the past couple of days they've really shifted south. And it first started with the European. It was going like this, then like this, then like this, and all the models followed, essentially moving that snow shield down to Richmond and the North Carolina and basically the middle of Kentucky, not the North Carolina-Virginia border, and that really suppressed the snow totals and really kept the majority of them in this area right here in this red circle, all right? But for snow lovers on the northern fringes of this storm, I do have good news that that trend has ended, and in fact, over the past couple of runs, the snow shield has shifted a little further north, all right? And that's the main thing. The snowfall forecast now is pretty much set in stone, except for the areas that are on the fringe, and central Virginia is on the fringe between very heavy snow and pretty much nothing at all. So that's where my confidence is lowest at this point. And as we go with another model, so the NAM pretty much has the same thing, has that snow shield go all the way up, and then boom, gets cut off rapidly. So you could see an inch right here, 1 inch right here, and then 5 inches right here. So an extremely sharp cutoff, something that we're not usually used to seeing with these types of snowstorms, or with typical snowstorms. But this is no ordinary snowstorm. And you should have seen this by now. Very heavy snowfall totals in southwestern Virginia and northwestern Carolina, essentially in this area right here. This is going to be the jackpot for the system. We could see 1.5 feet of snow there in isolated locations, especially in the foothills. Now, one thing I do want to look at is the total accumulated precip. I feel like this does show the precipitation gradient very nicely, especially in central Virginia and the northern fringe of the storm. Look right here. You have pretty much no precip at all, and then just 10 miles south you have an inch of liquid precip, and that would equivalent an inch of liquid precip does equivalent to quite a bit of snow. I think the NAM model is overdoing this quite a bit, especially in the Richmond area with precip, but you get the point. There's a very sharp gradient between nothing and plowable snowfall, and so that's going to be the main challenge. I feel like the main area that's going to be very hard to forecast is going to be right here. This goes through Charlottesville, Richmond, and Tappahannock. That's going to be where some people could bust very badly, including myself. I feel like I have very high confidence for these areas right here, but right here, this could be a bust area. But I'm going to try my best to forecast as accurately as I can there and show you what I think is most likely right now. But that could change, and if it does significantly change, I will update you by tomorrow evening. And by tomorrow evening, I should have a pretty good idea of how much it's going to snow pretty much everywhere. So it still is a little too early to really be 100% confident in these areas right here, but for these areas, again, I am very confident in terms of snowfall totals. Now, if we look at the radar, alright, and we can see that the snowfall it reaches the border of Virginia very early Sunday, and this is very heavy snow again, and then it goes to central Virginia to Richmond around 1 p.m. Sunday, and then it's out of there early Monday morning, even before that actually. So it's a very short duration event. Some of the models do have this thing spinning up, maybe causing a few flurries or sprinkles in these areas right here, but nothing significant at all. And that just moves out of there. So you get the point. It's going to be a fast-moving system, especially for central Virginia. These areas right here could see a little bit of a longer duration event, but it's going to be pretty fast. And if we go to total snowfall, we'll see that there's going to be a very sharp cutoff. You have totals right here, 10, 12, 15 inches of snow. Obviously, this right here is a little bit overdone. It's not taking into account the mixing, the sleet, and the warm temperatures right around freezing. But these are still very impressive totals, especially right here. I wouldn't be surprised. This could really break some record books, especially for these areas right here. Then as we go to central Virginia, we can see that extremely sharp cutoff. Right here you have 0, 3, and then 7 inches of snow in a span of about 20 miles. So that is an extremely sharp cutoff, and that really does need to be monitored carefully as we go through tomorrow. And that, like I said before, that trend is shifting that snow a little further north, a little bit by a little bit. If we look at the 12Z run real quickly, let's load this real quick. We can see how far south that snow shield was and now how quickly it's expanded north. So this is going to be a trend that bears monitoring. And again, that's the area where I'm most concerned about. But without further ado, here is my Winter Storm Diego snowfall forecast for Virginia. So I know this is a little boring to the eye, but I feel like it gets the point across most efficiently. In this area right here, I think you're going to see a dusting at best, maybe up to half an inch or a coating of snow, but I think most likely a dusting here is possible, and you'll get lucky if you do see that. In this area right here, 1 to 2 inches of snow, right? You see this sharp downward line right here. Oh, I don't want to do that, but you see this sharp downward line right here because the air is going to be too warm here. You're going to have that warm air advection. You're going to have that warm air coming in from the sea as that low intensifies and goes and gets closer to Virginia. You're going to see that warm air really pumping in from the ocean, converting that snow to sleet and then to rain in these areas right here. So snowfall totals here will be very limited. Alright, now below that, 1 to 4. This does include Richmond, Henrico, Chesterfield, Goochland, right? This is where I am least confident with my snowfall forecast, alright? You can see 1 inch of snow in the West End and then 4 or 5 inches of snow in Chesterfield. Alright, so this is going to be a very sharp cutoff, but right now I am calling for 1 to 4 inches of snow. This could change potentially as we get closer, but then as we go below that, this is where my confidence skyrockets. I feel like right here, we're going to get 3 to 6 inches of snow. Below that, 4 to 8 inches, and then down below that, that's a jackpot, 7 to 11 inches of snow, maybe even more than that, up to 15 inches in isolated areas. This is where you're going to see the historic snowfall. But going back to this 1 to 4 area right here, this is really something that could change, especially with that snow shield going south or north. And that pretty much sums up this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for my update tomorrow, and I'll see you next time.